Hey everybody, it's Rob here at etrailer.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Swagman XTC2 platform style 2 bike rack on our 2019 Ford Edge. Now our Swagman is going to be a great value rack and really be a good entry point into getting a platform style rack. Now a platform style rack is going to have a tray or wheel hoops, some kind of platform that our bike is going to sit on. And in our Swagman here, we're also going to have a frame hook right here in the center that's going to make sure our bikes are nice and secure. Now again, we're going to be able to carry up to 2 bikes with us to and from the trail with our Swagman here. Now the way it's going to hold everything in place, those wheel hooks are just going to ratchet down, and then on each one of the wheel hoops here, we're going to have a strap. Now we can go ahead and pull our bike off so we can take a little bit of a closer look, but the straps are just rubber, so you just kind of stretch them a little bit, pull them off that nub. Do the same thing for the other one. And I do recommend doing that first when you're unloading your bike and doing that last when you're loading it up. So each one of our wheel hooks is going to have a little button here, and that'll allow us to loosen it up, slide that hook up far enough so that we can get the bike unloaded. I do want to mention that the mast is right here in the center, so we're not able to pull our bike straight back, so you do want to be extremely careful whenever you are unloading or loading it, because we're going to have to get that first bike pretty close to our car. So you just want to watch your handlebars, pedals, and everything else. We can sneak our bike past the rack and set it aside. Now we take a closer look at our wheel trays here. We can see again, it's got a nice soft rubber straps. We're not going to have to worry about the finish on our wheels or anything else getting damaged. Now the trays themselves are going to hold up to a 2.5-inch wide tire, but if you do have a wider tire than that or a fat bike tire, they will not fit in these cradles. But the nice thing is that they're adjustable, so we can loosen up these turn knobs here, and we can actually slide the cradles in and out to accommodate different width bikes, in case we have a couple different size wheelbases, but at the same time it makes it really nice because we can stagger our bikes so we have less of a chance of that handlebar, pedal to pedal, or even seat contact, because we can move one bike to one side and then move the other one to the other side and kind of stagger them, make it a little bit easier to load up. And the frame hooks are extremely simple to use. Once we have our bike in place, we can simply just push down and they'll lock into place because they're ratcheting, so they're not going to come up unless we push in on that release lever. Now another thing you might notice is that there is a small hole on the bottom right by that lever, and that's so that we can put in a small padlock and make sure that our bikes are going to be secure to the rack. Now being able to carry 2 bikes is nice, but as you can see, we're adding a little bit of space to the back of our Edge. We may not always have that space. We might need to pull in our garage, parking spot, or anything like that. So I'd like to give you a few measurements. We measure from the very back of the bumper to the furthest point of our rack. It's coming in right about 20 inches. Now at the closest point of our rack, it's probably going to be one of the wheel trays right here. And that's coming in right about 5 inches. So we still have plenty of space, shouldn't have to worry about any kind of contact to the back of our bumper. But the one thing, if we're looking at our rack and we're looking at our Edge here, you can tell right away that we're not going to be able to open the rear hatch. And that is kind of a problem. Well, we can lower down the mast, obviously if the bikes are not there. If we come to the bottom of the mast, so we'll pull that pin out, and then we can rotate the center mast to either side. And that way we have plenty of room to open up the rear hatch and get whatever we need in or out. You can see there's plenty of room. We can grab what we need. Just keep in mind, we do only have that 5 inches, so you're probably better off standing on the outside of the rack than trying to squeeze in between. Now there is one more storage position for our rack, but it typically is more for when you're storing the rack in your garage. A lot of us take our bike racks out whenever we're not riding, but as you can see in this position, that's a pretty big area that it's going to take up. But again, if we come down to the bottom of the center mast here, we're going to have a pin on either side of the center. We'll pull those pins out. We can actually rotate the cradles up, and we can replace the pin. And now it'll be in a nice, neat little stored package which will definitely take up less space in our garage and be a lot easier to find a spot to store it like this than if it was in the deployed position. Now the XTC2 here does have a raised shank, which definitely helps out with ground clearance. Now you shouldn't have to worry too much. Our edge doesn't sit that close to the ground, but we do get an additional 3 inches because it has a 3-inch raised shank. Now it's going to work with both 1 1/4 and 2-inch hitches like we have here. You can actually see that sleeve that's around the shank there. Now it is going to include a anti-rattle bolt to secure it to the hitch, and that's going to take all that slop and play out of the receiver tube. And you can see when I shake the rack, the entire car is moving because there's no play or slop in the receiver tube here. But now that we've seen what our rack looks like and gone over some of the features, I know a lot of you want to see how it's going to perform on the road. So let's take a look on how it handles our test course.
Here it is on our test course. We'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. And finally, we have the full speed bumps, where we'll see the up and down action, which is just like driving out of a parking lot, garage, or driveway.
So overall, I do like the Swagman. However, I do feel that the pins and clips can be a little troublesome sometimes, and it's not as user-friendly as some of the more premium racks. But it definitely is a great way to get into a platform rack for a great value. But again, I'm Rob here at etrailer.com, and that'll finish up your look at the Swagman XTC2 platform style rack on our 2019 Ford Edge.